On all of this now, I want to bring in Mark Preston, CNN's senior political analyst, April Ryan, CNN's political analyst as well, William Cohan, special correspondent for Vanity Fair, and the author of Why Wall Street Matters, and CNN senior economics analyst Stephen Moore, a former senior economic advisor for the Trump campaign. Hello to all of you. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Steve, to you first. This is the first big piece of legislation the Trump administration will get passed. It's a huge win for the Trump administration, for this president. But how do you square that accomplishment with its lack of popularity among Americans?
Well, with all due respect, I think you buried the lead here. I mean, the lead is that we've just passed something, or will pass something in the morning that is going to be really good for the economy. You're right. It's going to be very good for small businesses. It'll be good for American corporations. It's really meant, you know, and I started on this 2 years ago with Donald Trump. It's meant to create jobs, to grow the economy.
Stephen, I understand that.
Do better. The middle class is going to get a tax cut.
Before you pivot, because you just answered my question
But that's
first.
what it's all about.
But my question,
whether Donald Trump gets a tax cut or not is really irrelevant.
That wasn't my question, Stephen. And I know you're here. You're part of the administration. You advise them to spend. But my question was, how do you square this with its lack of popularity with the American people? If you will just answer that directly, by all means, and you can pivot and spin after that.
Okay, let me do that. So first of all, I spent some time today looking at these polls, and none of the polls actually tell the American people it's a tax cut. In fact, a lot of Americans actually think they're going to get their taxes increased under this bill, and of course, they'll find out in February that their taxes are going to go, for 90% of Americans, their taxes are going to go down. But it's also, let's face it, Donald Trump is not popular with a lot of Americans, so anything associated with Donald Trump is something that Americans don't like. But I think when they see the jobs and the growth and the tax cut that they get themselves, I think it'll turn very popular next year.
Thank you for answering that. What do you say to that, William?
You know, Stephen Moore shouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. He's been trying to do this for 25 years, talking about trickle-down economics for 25 years. He shouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. This is not a tax cut for 90% of the Americans. This is a tax increase from anybody who makes money paying ordinary income taxes. Maybe if you pay capital gains taxes, maybe like Donald Trump, if you have a lot of partnership income, this could be a tax cut. For most people who get a paycheck, who have a W-2, this is a tax increase.
Yep.
How is that? How does it raise their taxes?
How doesn't it raise their taxes? I mean, cutting you know, if you're a private equity guy, you get a tax decrease.
No.
For normal Americans, the top rate goes from 39.6 to 37%. You got capped on state and local tax deductions.
But how does it raise taxes for the middle class? You said it raises tax for the middle class.
Anybody getting W-2 income, their state and local taxes get capped. Their single biggest asset, which is their home, is less valuable. They're going to feel poor. This could be the first tax cut in a generation that creates a recession, not this boom in economic growth that you're talking about, to say nothing of adding to the huge national debt, $1.5 trillion, increasing deficits, probably destroying our credit rating as a nation. Thank you, Stephen.
Well, look, there's nothing in this bill that raises taxes on the middle class. In fact, the middle class get an increase in their child credit by $1,000. It reduces their tax rate, and it doubles the standard deduction for. Now, you talked about mortgages. We cap the mortgage interest deduction at $750,000. Tell me how many middle class people have a mortgage of more than $750,000.
Deductions at $10,000.
Yeah, but we cap it at $10,000. That's only wealthy people. No. Only the very wealthiest people are going to lose their state and local taxes. That's where half of the revenue loss comes from, is very, very rich people in very rich states.
Very, very rich. There are a lot more people than very, very rich people who pay more than $10,000 in state and local taxes on an annual basis.
Let me play this, and then I want you guys to respond to it. This is part of what Sarah Sanders said earlier today.
Benefit him personally?
Look, I said that in some ways, particularly on the personal side, the president will likely take a big hit. But on the business side, he could benefit. But the biggest focus for this White House has been to make sure all Americans are better off today after this tax package passes than they were beforehand. We really focused on invigorating the middle class and making sure they got more of their hard-earned money, and we think that that'll happen in this package.
So the question was, you heard there, William, at the press conference, how doesn't this benefit the president? She's saying it doesn't. He could suffer greatly. How does this benefit the president personally, if that's the claim?
He gets most of his income from partnerships. If you look at his disclosure form, the only thing that we have of his, because we don't have his income taxes, as you said, he's got 400, 500 LLCs, partnership. So he's a real estate mogul, supposedly. So a lot of his income comes from partnership income. A lot of his income comes from capital gains. And if you're getting your income from capital gains and partnership income, you benefit tremendously from this at 20% rates. If he has income from ordinary income, yes, he would be paying more taxes, but I don't think the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has any ordinary income.
I know you want to weigh in, Stephen. The property developers do well under this plan, don't they? I mean, is the White House underplaying just how well?
Well, they do, and that's something I'm not in favor of in this bill. But I will say this: one of the reasons, look, I've never seen Donald Trump's tax return, but I'll say this: he resides in the state of New York, which has the highest taxes virtually in the country. So when we were just talking about loss of state and local tax deduction, really, really rich people like Donald Trump in really, really wealthy states like New York are going to pay more taxes. So it's quite possible his tax rate might go up by as many as 4 or 5 percentage points. But I don't understand why liberals are opposed to that. I thought they wanted the rich to pay more taxes.
There are Republicans who are opposed to it as well. It's not just liberals who are opposed to it.
I know. There are a lot of rich Republicans who are going to pay more taxes under this bill.
That is true. A lot of super rich people like Donald Trump and his friends are going to pay more taxes to some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to be. This is a strange thing to say, but the worst people who get hurt the worst from this are Wall Street investment banker types. People who have maybe that's a great cause for celebration, but that's people who have a lot of ordinary income. Their salary is ordinary income. Their bonus is ordinary income, and they live in New York, which is the highest tax state in the country. So a lot of people, Wall Street is a very big engine of growth in this country, and a lot of the people who do that are now going to pay higher taxes.
But traditionally,
are we really going to?
Go ahead.
No, nobody's going to cry.
Are we going to feel sorry for those people?
No, but it's the it's Donald Trump.
One at a time. One at a time. Stephen and William.
Okay. Okay, I mean, do we really want to feel sorry for Wall Street investment bankers? Have you seen what's happened to the stock market over the last year? It's up 25%. Those people have made millions and millions of dollars off of the Trump rally on the stock market. So it's not as if, and by the way, so do ordinary Americans who have 401k plans. They've benefited from this rally too.
Half the country is an investor in the stock market and has benefited from this. A rally that, by the way, started in March of 2009 under the Obama administration. In fact, the stock market has gone up more under the Obama administration than the Trump administration. But the point is that because
he's only been in office for 1 year.
the people who benefit the most from this tax law, as it will soon be, are people like Donald Trump and his friends who make most of their money from partnership income and have most of their money from capital gains. Those taxes are going down.
So let's talk about the actual people, the people who go to the polls and vote, who will decide who is in office next time, the American people. And this is what our new poll shows. It shows 84% of Democrats believe the tax plan will benefit the president and his family, as do 63% of independents and 32% of Republicans agree with that. The House Speaker Paul Ryan says when people feel like they have more cash, they'll be happy. So what are the odds that Americans come around to this plan once it takes effect, William? That's a good question for you.
I don't think they're going to be happy at all, because I think they're going to realize that the value of their largest asset, which is their home, is going to be worth less because it's going to cost more for them to operate their home because they can have fewer deductions. They're capped at $10,000 on their deductions for state and local taxes. The biggest component of state and local taxes are property taxes. People are going to feel poorer as a result of having to pay more in taxes as a result of their property.
Stephen, I'll give you the last word.
I think when Americans see how this economy continues to expand, I'm expecting 4% growth next year, which would be unbelievably strong given what we've had for the last 10 years. And when people actually see their paychecks and another $50 or $100, for middle-class people every paycheck, I think they're going to be very happy. And I think Republicans did a good thing for the country, but also a politically smart thing for the party today and tomorrow.
Yeah. The major accomplishment of his first year in office, the Republican tax bill. The Senate voting on the bill tonight, and a couple of technical bumps in the road forcing the House to re-vote. But the bill is still expected to reach the president's desk by tomorrow. And it is a big deal. A lot of people thought it might not happen, but the president and Republicans, well, they got it done. The bad news, it looks like Americans aren't that happy about the tax bill. Our brand new CNN poll shows more than half are against it. Excuse me. Maybe one reason they aren't convinced this bill is in their best interest, and not in the interest of the president personally and corporations and the super rich, is because President Trump and his administration have sold it with a lie. That lie being that he'll take a big financial hit himself.
This is going to cost me a fortune, this thing. Believe me. Believe me. This is not good for me.
What's a lie that the press secretary, Sarah Sanders, doubled down on today?
The president did say that this tax cut bill would cost him a fortune. That was false, right?
No, because on the personal side, this actually could impact the president in a large way.
By all accounts, that is just not true. This bill exempts almost everybody from the real estate tax, a great thing for wealthy families like the Trumps who can pass on millions more of their wealth tax-free. It lowers the taxes on pass-through businesses. The president's real estate businesses will benefit directly from this. And a last-minute provision was added that specifically benefits those with real estate income.